This is Mulligan Stew, the podcast, music, film, food, and wine. There won't be any wine or food talked about here, but there will be music and there will be film. Our subject is Robbie Robertson. I call him the leader of the band, but nobody really led the band. There were 5 individuals with astounding talents. But Robbie was the primary songwriter and the lead guitarist, and thus took up the role of being the band's leader. It caused all sorts of strife, as was fully and completely exposed in 2 books, one by Lee Von Helm and one by Robbie, called Testimony. And it was Testimony that really was the starting point for Robbie Robertson's next chapter in his life, which has been complete up till this point, really. Robbie Robertson's 6th solo album is called Sinematic, starting with an S. It came out September the 20th. The songs spun out of another project that he was doing with his friend Martin Scorcese, director of The Last Waltz, of course. It's called The Irishman. The Irishman, by the way, has Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel. It's about Jimmy Hoffa and the mob, and Robbie was doing the scoring and the soundtrack for that film. At the same time that he was doing The Irishman, he was writing music for Once We're Brothers, a documentary about the life and times and music of the band. It includes rare footage, commentary from Bruce Springsteen, Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, Peter Gabriel, Taj Mahal, Ronnie Hawkins, gotta have them, Bob Dylan. And at the very same time that all of this was going on, the band's self-titled sophomore album, The Band, turns 50, recorded in Sammy Davis Jr.'s pool house in Los Angeles. Here's our conversation with Robbie Robertson. Hello, Robbie.
Hello, Terry.
Hello, Robbie. Nice to talk to you again.
Are you still out west there causing trouble?
I am, in fact, on the very west coast in the Neuse Bay, and I am causing trouble, yes.
Well, I knew I could count on you.
Let me get on this. It goes like this, Robbie. Right at the tail end of Testimony, which I can still go back and reread anytime I want, you're actually talking to yourself and you say, what we have can never die, never fade away. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. You're referring to The Last Waltz and the last gig. Now, a fresh canvas, a new beginning. Bring on tomorrow. Is this the fresh canvas?
Well, I've always worked in a certain way that these challenges, I go into these challenges of new projects, and whether it's a film with Martin Scorcese or a new record I'm making or a book I'm writing, whatever it is, I always start with this blank canvas and think, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. I'm really going to have to reach deep on this. I want to do something so special. And so I kind of put myself on the line there as hard as I can and hope that I rise to the occasion. And that's where we are right now today. And it's not much different than it was when I was starting out doing this.
Sinematic, the album comes out September the 20th. It's
yes.
But you created it. It's interesting. You created it in the middle of a vortex because you were writing music for Once We're Brothers, which we'll talk about in a second. A wonderful documentary. You were scoring The Irishman, the Scorsese film. You had the band's self-titled sophomoric album coming out or celebrating their 50th anniversary. All of this swirling about, but rather than confusing you, it appears as though it inspired you.
It was something that I've never had this experience before, where all of these elements were feeding off of one another and actually inspiring one another. And what you mentioned earlier, it actually originated from my book, Testimony. That's where they said, we want to do this documentary, and it's going to be based on your book. And I thought, oh God, that's great. That's great that this is coming to life in a way. So all of these things stirring around, and it very much influenced my writing on this album. Every one of these projects.
Robbie, I started to play. I Hear You Paint Houses, which is really about the life of Frank the Irishman Sheeran. based on the book of the same name. And I love the line, "Shall we take a little spin on the dark side of town?" Can you explain the painting houses?
Well, it's a mob expression, and the book was named that. And while I was working on the music for the movie, I got fascinated by that title, because it's like, we don't know what that really means. And when we do find out what it really means, it means from one mobster to another, I've got a job for you.
Yeah.
And I hear that you can handle it.
Yeah.
And it means that, one of the mob people are asking a hitman if he'll do a job. And the paint houses, unfortunately, it's a splattering of blood.
Exactly.
So it's not, it ain't pretty. No. It ain't pretty, but it's powerful.
I've been playing also, Robbie, Let Love Rain with Glenn Hansard sitting in with you. A reminder of John Lennon and his influence.
Yep.
Did you meet John?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I met him, when I was, playing with Bob Dylan first on the tour in 1966. That's when I first met John and the other Beatles. And then I met him, several times over the years after that. And we always had an interesting time hanging out too. He wasn't your run-of-the-mill musician on the road. He was a deeper person, and I found him to be a really great guy too.
I can't wait to see the documentary. I've been screening documentaries all summer for broadcast film critics voting. Cannot wait to see Once We're Brothers. The song Once We're Brothers, the lyrics just crushed me, just hurt. Once we're brothers, brothers no more. There's a hurt in the song. You can actually feel it. It's there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the sadness of Richard and Rick and Levon no longer being with us, that they've all passed away, and you think, oh my, I never imagined this in my life. I never thought about losing these guys like this. And, when I sat down and I started writing a song and I was just kind of following where it was taking me, it took me deep inside this place. And because perhaps in the same time I was putting together this 50th anniversary of the band album,
right.
And it's really turned out quite beautiful, and it was very moving to revisit that music. And the fact that I was just thinking about the brotherhood and my relationship with these guys and the magic that we were fortunate enough to make together, I just miss them, with all my heart.
You were writing music for the documentary. Did it need scoring?
No, because there was so much in the story
right.
of music that's being used, of songs that I wrote, and there's a broad horizon of it. So it's it's a different approach. It's really just using the storytelling songs as score.
By the way, I love this track, Dead End Kid, Robbie. I love it. It's you, isn't it? It's First Nations. It's the Jewish gangster family. It's you.
Yeah. It's spot on. It's exactly what it is. And, it's that period when you're growing up and you've got all of these dreams and all this ambition and everything, and people are like, no, that's not going to happen. You're probably going to end up working down the road at the factory, or you're probably going to end up in jail, or that's what you're talking about ain't going to happen. And you have to overcome these obstacles, and you have to just get on that train, that leads you to the dream that you want to pursue.
Are you proud of the way the songs from the band release of 50 years ago still play today, still hang in there, still engage the listener?
I couldn't be much prouder of that. And the fact that this music has gone on to influence so much music and so many musicians. And I hear its influence on the radio with young bands and young artists all the time. And even working with somebody like Glenn Hansard on the, Let Love Rain that you mentioned. Glenn has told me, oh my God, this turned my world upside down. This made me want to reach for that place just like you guys did. And that's a very rewarding feeling.
Is this music coming on the road, Robbie?
No, I don't do that anymore. I did it in every possible way you can do it.
Yeah.
And my dance card is full.
Okay.
So I'm going to promote it. I'm going to do things to be supportive of this new music, and I'll probably do some TV shows and things like that. But the music will have to, live on its own.
Bring on tomorrow.
All right. I like it, Terry.
Thank you, Robbie. Bless you.
Thank you. Take care.
The one and only Robbie Robertson, one of 5 members of an astonishing group of musicians called The Band. They completely changed music for me and for many, many people, which is what attracted Bob Dylan to come along and say, I'm going to go electric, and I need some guys with some guts to stand behind me and wade through the verbal abuse we're about to get and make our point, because I believe in this music and I think you could make it come alive. And they did, and it was historic. Simple as that. Robbie Robertson. We'll follow that story, by the way. You know that The Irishman is going to be a major hit for Martin Scorcese. You know that Once We're Brothers, the documentary about the band, will be a wonderful success, all over the world. Simple as that. And the celebration for the 50th anniversary of The Band, the sophomore album from the boys, will just carry the day. And then there's still more to come, and we'll deal with that in 2020. Coming up on Mulligan Stew, the podcast, The Small Glories, Mary Gauthier, harpoonist and the axe murderer, Con Brio from the Bay Area, Donovan Woods, singer, songwriter, getting bigger and bigger, Dan Mangan, I think maybe in a week or two, Lorena McKinnon, and hopefully many others. We're heading towards 100 episodes. We might put together an all-star clip fest as we approach that. I'm Terry David Mulligan. This is Mulligan Stew, the podcast, music, film, food, and wine. You can subscribe on Spotify, Google Play, or Apple Podcasts. And pass us on. Recommend us to your friends, your family, your loved ones, your enemies. Thank you.